Hello, everyone. This is Grandmaster Jesse Bowen, and welcome to another empowerment lesson. And we are celebrating Martial Arts Authors Month. Yep, we have dedicated a month to introduce you to some of the great martial artists that are leaving their legacy through their teachings that are in recordings, that are on books. And today we have with us Grandmaster Danny Lane, and it's really excited to have him. Again, he dates back to being a, student of Chuck Norris. So he's got a lot of information, and we met several years ago, and he's featured in our book, The Who's Who in the Martial Arts. And it's really an honor to have that opportunity to actually talk with him. He's in Kentucky, I'm in North Carolina. And, there's so much going on. So another way to preserve the history, to let you know that masters and grandmasters, we're thinking about preserving the history through our teaching. Hey, sir, how you doing?
Hey, Jesse, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Oh, I see you have a copy of The Who's Who.
Yeah, I want to tell all your listeners that this is a fantastic book, that ever have it. You have a lot of legends in here, and I'm very honored to be in here in your books. And, they're not just the little tiny books they used to make years ago, but these things are like an encyclopedia of martial arts, of who's who.
Well, that's the way life, that's what life is. And I think that book has about 200 plus individuals sharing their bio, their story in the book. I know that you have a journey, and it's been a dynamic journey. So before we actually get into the book, and we're going to, what's the name of your book?
My book is Some Gave It All, Through the Fire of the Vietnam War.
And everyone, while you're listening to listening and watching this recording here, you can actually go to Amazon. This book is on Amazon. Right now we're talking with the author. And I tell you what you do, if you can go to Amazon and order the book directly, or we're going to give you his email address and let him know that you want a copy of the book, and he will actually sign a copy of the book. So while our program is going on, so Danny, what is your email address?
Well, Jesse, we actually have a website. So go to somegaveitall.com. And on the site, there are previews, there's interviews that I've done nationwide, there's television interviews I've been on, there's previews of the chapters, there's other stories of other Marines in major battles in Vietnam. And it's just an encyclopedia of information on somegaveitall.com. From there, you can order the autograph books, and I autograph them right here from my office and send them out with a personal message to each person. So even though it's on Amazon.com, Books a Million, it's in every bookstore that's out there worldwide. When it opened up last year, it was #1 on Amazon for a good while, and rose to the top of the military books. I've got a lot of tremendous endorsements by professionals. The book is, if you see it, the cover from here is endorsed by Chuck Norris, not only my instructor and good friend, but also he is a former military guy. His brother Aaron was in the Army in Vietnam, and his younger brother Whelan was killed in Vietnam. So Chuck has a very, very dedicated heart to helping Vietnam veterans, and especially he got behind this book, and he wrote a fantastic review, which if you go to the website is you can click on the link. It's 3 pages long. And so it's endorsed by Chuck Norris and numerous other professionals in the business.
Right. So everyone, while you're actually, watching this video, recording of us having this conversation, so remember, go to his website, order it, and he's going to send you the signed copy. So you're getting an author's copy. So think about this as a virtual book signing that, go to his website. Remember, especially if you go during our recording, our interview here, then, he's going to know that came from you because you were watching this video. And remember, go there or send him a comment, make a comment. This was a great book. I'm going to go to the website. I haven't done it, but it's been my intention. So when I get off our call today, I'm going to go to the website and I'm going to give a review for that. And of course, it's a great book, so I'm going to definitely give a positive review. So if you're going to review his book, make sure it's a positive review. So let's talk about you now. Now, when did you get started in the martial arts and why?
Well, actually, my first experience of martial arts was in the Marine Corps boot camp in 1968. So, I come from West Virginia as a young country boy. There was no martial arts schools even available at that time back in the late 60s. I didn't know what the word martial arts or karate meant. So in the Marine Corps boot camp in 68, we learned hand-to-hand combat, which now, is pretty much judo, MMA, hand-to-hand combat, knife fighting, bayonet fighting, and so forth. So that was my first taste of martial arts.
Oh, wow. And it's really, for some people, it's hard to believe that the martial arts hasn't been around forever. But when we go back into the 60s, into the 70s, it's brand new. Bruce Lee came on. I remember watching Enter the Dragon. I was amazed by it. Then it's been picked on all my life, and that really empowered me. And then there came a time that the guy on my job, we didn't get along, and he was going to beat me up, and he studied something called Taekwondo, and I had no idea what Taekwondo was. But I remember watching the movie and watching Bruce Lee throw all those guys around, and I did not want to be a part of that. So let's talk a little bit. I think we need to get into the one of the key points of martial artist and becoming an author. You're a 9th degree black belt. You got all this history behind you, and your students are coming up. And let's talk about history itself, because your book is telling some stories that may not have been told, but you're telling it from your experience. I think that it's really important that we share with our students, with our families, who we are, our story. And that's what the Who's Who books have been about, is about sharing the stories. So, let's talk about that. When you started, what motivates you to begin to write the book?
Well, I've written some screenplays and books in the past for a good while. I wrote a screenplay for Michael DePasquale called The Cutoff. It was a martial arts movie that did pretty well. Starred Joe Lewis and Keith Vitale and Wally J and Michael. So I've been writing for a while. I wrote a book back in the 90s called Black Silk Pajamas, and actually was an autobiography of the First Lady of South Vietnam. And they had sought me out to write her story because I was a Marine over there at that time, and when she was First Lady of the country. Mm-hmm. It was self-published. It didn't do real well. It didn't get a lot of publicity, but it's still out there. It's called the Black Silk Pajamas. And it was named after the VC, the Viet Cong, who wore black silk pajamas in combat with their little straw hats. So we could distinguish them in battle a lot of times when they wore the all black. And especially, they usually did most of the fighting at night. So that's how the name came about. It's a love story of a lady who was a secret agent for the French, and when they were fighting the Japanese in the 50s and early 60s. And it comes all the way forward to when I spent my time there in 1968, 69. Like I said, I wrote a few screenplays, and I got into it when I met Chuck Norris in 1980. Got the fever to learn the movie business. So I read a lot of his scripts, was on the movie set with him, did some stunts, started learning how to write screenplays. So I've written a lot of screenplays. About 99% of them didn't get made into a movie. And I had one that was optioned by Warner Brothers once called Brothers of Blue. It was about a police story that I was in. And then I wrote The Cutoff. But then, a few years ago, my wife noticed that I was still having a lot of trouble with post-traumatic stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of shortness of temperament and things like that, and it all contributed back. I've really never gotten through to the other side after coming back from Vietnam, even though the veterans have helped me over the years, and I've been through a lot of treatment, a lot of psychological evaluations, and things of that sort. It never leaves you. I mean, you go to the grave with it. And there's no saying with Vietnam veterans, we were all killed there. We just didn't die there. So the ones that really didn't die there in their body, the ones that didn't make it home, a lot of us died over there, but we just were killed over there, but we just died here 30, 40, 50 years later. And, the book, even though it's a book about Vietnam and my Marine Corps missions as an infantryman there, and how we battled and how young men, 19, 20 years old, was fighting this war. The front story of the book is about me surviving 40 years later, laying in a hospital bed, not knowing who I was, where I was, and what was happening to me with a strange viral infection to my brain. And during the examination of the doctors and the neurosurgeons, all the stories of my missions in Vietnam unfolds in the book. So at the end of the book, you'll see what I went through to get me to that point less than 12 years ago, that I had a relapse back that almost killed me.
Well, that's what makes your story, and the question is, how many others, we know there are others that are going through the same thing that you're going through. And someone may have a family member that's going through that, but yet still they don't understand it. And a lot of times when or when someone is acting in a manner that's not normal, we think that they're just crazy, but others have gone through and it goes back to a symptom, and in many cases can be treatable. So to our listeners, you may be having a relative that's still reliving something, a part of their life that happened to them, and they're having these other stresses from it. So I think that Danny's book is a good place to sort of look at, well, this was happening to you, my Uncle Charlie, or my dad, or someone, these things could be happening to him, but I really don't understand it. So I put it as something else, but it might be a time to get him checked out, especially if he's been a veteran. The same types of things that happen when people in domestic violence, and someone has seen someone killed, and all these things have a really a strong effect on you as a person. Now, Danny, I know that not only about the book, and you have a great background. You actually have starting points of having interest before the books, and for our listeners, we are promoting Martial Arts Authors Month. We have actually started our own publishing company, which is Elite Publications, and the website is elitepublications.org, where we're helping individuals to be able to become authors, to be able to share their story. Our focus is on religious speakers, Christians, on motivational speakers, and on martial arts biographies. So, you may have a story, but check out the website. And I know someone may say, well, I don't really have a story. Everybody has a story. It depends on whether or not you'd like to share it. Every time I talk to someone, I tell them I'm an author. They say, well, I've always thought about, writing a book. And for many of them, after I tell them, okay, I've got a solution for you, they keep thinking about it, so it never gets done. But, you really need to make that connection. So if you don't have a story, but you have a training. I know, Danny, you've got training manuals out. I know you have a new DVD out that you've done, I think, primarily for your students. I'm not sure. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about, from the martial arts side, of leaving that legacy of knowledge about you as a teacher.
Well, in 1970, early 1970, I returned from Vietnam, and I went into the State Police Academy. The man that adopted me and gave me my name, Lane is my adopted name. It's not my biological name. He was a police officer, and he was also a Marine. So when he died suddenly, when I was 14 years old, I dedicated to him that when I grew up, I would become a Marine. I'd come out and be a cop out of the respect and memory for him. Because at 9 years old, he took me in as a kid, adopted me, gave me his name, and was raising me at that time. So in 1970, just months after I come back from Vietnam, I was in the State Police Academy. I became a police officer. And so for the next 15 years, I had a dual, I don't call them occupations, but a career. I was a police officer. I met a grandmaster of Taekwondo locally in the city, become one of his first students, and quickly become a black belt under him. So I was running 3 martial arts schools, Taekwondo schools, and being a full-time police officer for many, many, many years. And I got the fever, I guess, to compete. You know, the adrenaline rush and the mental and emotional things you go through in combat in Vietnam with automatic weapons and people dying and you shooting and bombs flying and you never know if you're going to be killed in 1 second and somebody's dropping beside you the next. And I mean, it takes its toll on a 19 and 20-year-old. So when I come out and become a cop, I was only 21 and I was still fighting the war in Vietnam, even though I was on the streets of America trying to take in these bad guys. So I was very aggressive, very proactive. And I did training all the time. So when I got into martial arts and Taekwondo, I was training 6 hours a day after I'd work midnight just to try to get the aggression and the anxiety out of me and be prepared for any situation. So for many, many years, I competed in Taekwondo, won 3 national championships in that. Switched over to kickboxing when Bill Wallace started fighting with Joe Louis, and I think it was 1974 when they fought on national TV pay-per-view, and I got the bug for that and went to the boxing gym. So I became a professional kickboxer for quite a few years and was ranked for PKA there early on. And then I parted ways with the Grandmaster, and as God would have it, led me to Chuck Norris in 1980 in Torrance, California. We worked out for a week together, and we've been together ever since. We're celebrating our 40th year together now. So I've been teaching his system along with my own system over the years with my compilation of military, police, and law enforcement techniques, all the martial arts that I've learned from Chuck. Plus, I've had many other instructors in Aikido, Judo, and Jiu-Jitsu. So I have high-ranking black belts in all the styles. So at this point that I've been in martial arts 51 years, I developed to take the best of the best techniques that I've learned from all those systems that I thought were the fastest, easiest, and most effective for somebody to learn quick enough to defend themselves. I didn't want to impress them with my skill. I wanted to be able to teach people that were 50 or 60 years old, or somebody that wanted to teach their children at home. So I developed a home study course called Danny Lane Fighting System. It is pretty easy and effective and fast to learn. And I just developed that and put the best of the best techniques on those 8-volume series for everybody to learn at home from. And I'm really amazed that when I get the videos of people training and testing and show me their improvement, how much they're learning at home and they're training with their kids. So these techniques are simple techniques, things that anybody can learn with a little bit of practice and coaching. People at home now are training, and they're stopping being afraid in this violent world we have.
Well, great. Now, this is another way that we extend ourselves, not only through our books, but through our audio programs, through our video programs. You and your history is a part of your legacy. And we're trying to put an emphasis on that. That's why when we started to produce the Who's Who in the Martial Arts Legends book, it was about going back and preserving the history of the lost martial artists, people that our younger generation, they really don't know about, but this information is important. If we do not provide the information to our students and to the younger generation that's coming up about our past, then it's very difficult for them to make it part of their future. So if we don't share it, then they're going to try to figure it out and make it work, and they're going to make it work on their own. Sometimes that's right, and then sometimes that's wrong. So we really want to encourage martial artists to sit down in your martial arts class, share with your students the truth about you as a martial artist. They want to know, we look at a lot of these websites that you can, Ancestry, that you can go back and find your path to your past. And if you notice when the commercials are coming up and people are talking about, discovering where they came from. This very, very exciting of knowing that, and for many of the martial artists, we date back and we touch many martial arts instructors that have influenced our styles, our system, that have influenced us. I date back and again trained with Joe Louis. My teacher trained with Victor Moore, and of course Joe Louis trained with Bruce Lee. And so you can see that if I train with someone and they train with someone, you can find my path back, and that becomes interesting. So when my students realize that I have a connection in my own teaching, it connects to someone else that's made historical marks, then they begin to respect the system, and they also begin to respect the teacher. So I think these things are very important. So Danny, any last words that you feel like our audience that we need to know? Any upcoming things you have going on?
Well, Jesse, the most important thing with the book was to bring national attention to a crisis we have. And it's been updated in the last week. There's more than 20 veterans a day killing themselves for different reasons. Primarily, it's just post-traumatic stress, or they're homeless, or they just give up. They don't have the help. And, I've been there. I've been there many, many times, and you'll find that in my book if you read it, that I just wanted to check out. I just wanted to rest. I wanted to let all the demons go away and get out of my house, and get out of my head. And be able to sleep and have some peace. So the book is part of my closure of telling my story, and along with my squad and people who were with me, to try to face it and beat it once and for all. And it has been a lifelong struggle. So the takeaway on the book is overcoming and achieving success even though you're going through atrocities. And if you read the Amazon.com reviews, I think there's about 70 or 80 of them on there. They're very compelling. My story in this book really moves a lot of people, and it's helped a lot of people, brings to light the things that they're facing. And I can only tell them that I struggle every day, but I also, pray every day that I can make it another day. I go back and reevaluate why I'm here and why others are not. And I'm blessed to be here and share this story. I think part of my calling right now is to educate people, get this book out there, make personal appearances, be on talk shows like yours, and try to help the people that we can. And that's really the message of the book. I did want to say earlier that a big percentage, not a big percentage, but a percentage of our book does go to Chuck Norris's Kickstart Kids program. It's Chuck and Gina Norris. They help many, many kids there in the Texas area. There are thousands in the schools, and then we're trying to keep them off drugs. We teach them the martial arts program to keep them out of the gangs and try to, help develop them into fine young people. So I donate a percentage of that to the Kickstart. I'm also an ambassador for Mission 22, which is a veterans charity, and we help veterans with all kinds of things, with service dogs, post-traumatic stress, housing, things that they can, psychological help if they need that. So Mission 22 is one of the charities that I do belong to, and I'm an ambassador for. And so they have special rates if they order the book as well. So I'm getting calls all the time. We're pushing forward, trying to get the book into the entertainment field, getting it noticed, getting more bookings, and getting on talk shows. And it's very difficult. We send out the co-author, Mark Bowder, sends out all kinds of PR messages to these shows, and we very seldom get anything in return. We're going to keep trying and keep pushing, and we'll make a difference in one person's life, and we've been successful.
Great, Danny. Danny, give us your website again, please.
SomeGaveItAll.com.
All right, great. And everyone, we have a couple things coming up. Of course, last year we actually did the book for Sifu Alan Goldberg for his tournament and his event, which is the largest martial arts event in the world. This year, we're actually publishing for them a martial arts history book. And this is going to be, they're celebrating 20 years of hosting the magazine and the event. So what we're going to be doing is actually publishing a history book of their event, covering the past 20 years. This will be the first martial arts history book published around an event. So if you have been inducted into the Action Martial Arts Hall of Honors, any of the years past or 2020, you can submit your bio to be published in the book, and you can go to actionmartialartshistorybook.com. Now, this is a world history book because the event, the Action Martial Arts event, is an international event. It's not just covering the U.S., but they have individuals from all the world. The expo has anywhere from 10 to 15,000 people show up for it. The banquet has anywhere from 12 to 1,500 people showing up for the banquet. So it is the largest event with celebrities there. So this is a great undertaking for us. And if you are out there and you would like to be a part of it, then remember, go to the website. And the website is www.actionmartialartshistorybook.com. And we have our program coming up in June. Again, this is the Who's Who in the Martial Arts. You can go to our Who's Who in the Martial Arts website and actually purchase this book. But you can also nominate your martial arts hero for 2020. Now, we have not really announced who the anchor person. In this book, you see Grandmaster Stephen Hayes. So we actually go back and feature a martial artist for their contribution. Danny, the book, the 2017, again, we featured Grandmaster June Rhee as a part of that book, and that was a great experience. Of course, within a year, we had actually lost him, but we were very grateful for that opportunity for people to get to know him through the publication, going to the event, or watching the recording of his speech, which was totally phenomenal. So we're all, as martial artists, as grandmasters, we're trying to share a positive impact and grow the martial arts. It's been a powerful tool in our lives, and it will be a powerful tool in someone else's life. So remember, go to our website, Who's Who in the Martial Arts, nominate your martial arts hero for 2020. That event is going to be coming off on June the 26th and 27th in Las Vegas at the Orleans Hotel and Casino. Everyone, again, thank you. So, and then again, thank you for the opportunity to interview everyone. Remember, order his book. There's great information out there. And this month, like I said, we're looking at having probably 12 authors that we're going to interview. We have Keith Yates. That interview is going to be coming up very shortly, too. So we have a lot of great people. So again, this is Grandmaster Jesse Bourne with Grandmaster Danny Lane. Everyone, we want to say thank you again. Thank you for that opportunity. Again, Danny, thank you again for that opportunity.
Thank you, Jesse, for having me on your show.
Hey, be blessed.
You too.